All right, 3 things about the War of 1812 that you weren't taught in school. So tell me why the US and Britain fought a second war immediately after the War of Independence. In school, they only gave us about 2 bullet points for this entire war. On my recent trip to Havre de Grace, I saw this sign. And I quickly found out that the British burned that entire city. And I was standing there pretty much in shock that I hadn't learned this before. And here's the wild part. First, the British were trying to speed run the Chesapeake Bay. First, Havre de Grace fell. Then they turned their sights on Baltimore. Second, the only reason why Baltimore did not fall to the British was because Fort McHenry took hours upon hours of bombardment. Literal rockets filling up the night sky. Third, and I learned this on my own later in life, that crazy night at Fort McHenry inspired Francis Scott Key to write a poem. And that poem became the national anthem. And after all that chaos, both sides pretty much went, my bad, bro. They eventually signed the Treaty of Ghent, turning everything back to the way it was before the war. No land gained, no borders moved, just destruction and loss of life. So yeah, technically the War of 1812 was a tie, but without it, you wouldn't have the legendary moment at Fort McHenry. You wouldn't have Francis Scott Key writing that poem. You wouldn't have the national anthem. I couldn't find an eagle noise fast enough, so here's my best interpretation. Squaw! That to me is just wild that it only goes to like a paragraph or 2 bullet points in our textbooks. And if you like this story and want more, I'd like to try to make history interesting and in short form. Go ahead and hit that follow button so we'll keep learning cool things together. Thanks.